Hey guys, I'm Michael Allen for Travel Costa Rica Now Real Estate. We're going to be talking to our old friend Matt, man. We haven't talked to him in a long time, but we're going to get updated about what's going on in the real estate. Now, just so you know, we're about December 1st, 2021. So we're going to update. Let's welcome Matt. Where is he at? I think he's there. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that
Matt,
way.
how's it going?
It's going spectacularly well. Thanks very much for having me, Mike. The big
Well, now that
story.
we haven't talked for so long, so I'm assuming you're super busy because you have no time for me anymore to do these updates. But it's fine. It's fine.
You're not the only person. Earlier today, I had people knock on my door. I literally have the door locked because I'm recording stuff. It's definitely continued to be a busy time. And, you've seen the accumulation of a lot of interest in the real estate market get pushed into a shorter time span. Really 2020 was a lot of people sitting on their couches in the US and Canada. They were watching a lot of YouTube. They were fantasizing about getting out. And now it's like a pressure valve has been released. I mean, we started seeing it in November of 2020. The second the borders opened, the real estate market started picking up. And it was a steady buildup throughout the year where, January through April in our area, the high season last year was incredible. We had tons of real estate moving. And then really what we saw was that the low season never happened, May through October, when normally we realtors get a break. When you see less touring, all of a sudden there were still people in the area looking for real estate. Even as recently as October, I was shocked to still be on tours in what usually is a dead month for us.
It was strange. I don't want to get into too much COVID-y stuff, but there's because I see it in my emails. There's a lot of countries, doesn't matter why, but they're getting upset with the way their country is doing stuff. And I just was seeing a lot of emails. Canada was off the charts with emails to me personally, and Germany, the United States, even France, Australia. So
Yep.
I know you had to be getting them, and you're right. It never really slowed down because it just was Costa Rica got on their map, on their radar, even if they never had been here before, in a sense.
Yep. Yeah. And really the percentage of clients that I'm talking to, I mean, it's almost 100 that are citing one version or other of the political situation in their country that they hate as the reason that they're looking for a home in Costa Rica. And, I think that for many reasons, I don't like to see it. When clients say, I've come to Costa Rica 15 times now. I love the food. I love the people. I love the culture. I love their values. I love the ambiance. That's the kind of positive sale that I want to make, where people are trying to get to Costa Rica because they're yearning. And you are seeing a lot of people that are escaping, and it's a negative reason that they're looking here in Central America and not staying at home.
I know, and you know what? I hate to say it, but just because they may not be happy here, man. There's a lot of other things to consider besides just because your country may not be going the direction you want it to. I'm not sure if you just throw the dart at the map and go, oh, honey, let's go to Costa Rica and buy property, But unfortunately, nothing's normal anymore. And so I'm just saying I get a lot of those emails and I try to direct them. Well, yes, but let's slow down a bit. Slow down. Just, take a breath, because people are going, should I come now, Mike? Should I come out now?
Yeah.
Should I come? No, you're good.
Well, and there's
talk a little bit about. No, go ahead.
I was going to say there's another reason to be patient when you're thinking about real estate these days. And that's, this is a hot market. I'm specifically talking about Guanacaste, but everyone's reporting the same thing. I was talking to a guy in Jaco. They're hot as well. The southern beaches down by Dominical, Ojochal, Uvita, those are all growing fast too. This is about the worst time for you to be in the buyer's position in a lot of Costa Rica real estate markets. And you should absolutely, trying to rush into a hot market is preparing yourself to pay the absolute peak price that involves, in many cases, a lot of hype and scarcity. You know, like we had a new construction moratorium on any commercial projects from 2015, basically through 19 and 20 in our entire area, Tamarino up north. Nothing was built in terms of large condos, or very few projects that have been grandfathered in. So you had limited supply already factored in when 2020 hit, and rather the reopening started. There were few units on the market to begin with relative to, you know, where we've been in history. And so now you might, if you try to rush in right now, I got to get to Costa Rica, I got to buy my fantasy property and get out of the US, you are basically going to pay more than you need to because of the hype in the market right now.
So what other, okay, that's obviously very good advice. Is there any other advice you would give somebody that's kind of chomping at the bit? Because you're right. Some, you know, if people have been here 15 times or for, you know, for the last 20 years, obviously they have a little bit better understanding of, you know, Costa Rica maybe, and they want to buy, I understand that. But is there any other advice you give for people that, you know, it's kind of not sure, kind of riding the COVID wave in a sense, and kind of, I don't know.
Well, you know, I think that the best place to look for real estate in Costa Rica will be in the community that you want to live, or rather, the best home base to have while you're trying to find the perfect property is living right in that community. And I'd love to see more people moving deliberately to rent long-term in the area that they want to buy and sitting there patiently. And, you know, you might even meet somebody at dinner that owns one of the condos that would really be of interest to you. You've become friends. You can really know what the market suggests is a fair price. And with that patient approach, living in the community, you can be in the best position possible to actually get a good value and understand what's going on. If you can't live in the community while you search, you should really, really be there, you know, hopefully multiple times before you're actually looking, you know, to make that purchase. And, you know, you should build a relationship with somebody who lives there, probably your realtor, who can patiently keep their eye on the market for you. And rather than rushing in with, I have to buy, I want to buy, set your list of goals and what you want to accomplish with this dream property. Take a step back and wait for your budget and the timing and everything to fall into place, because rushing in is definitely how people end up in bad situations here.
Tell me if this is true. Like, you know, there's a lot of properties here, and I guess maybe up in your area where, you know, it's the beach, the condo areas or whatever, you know, you're paying top dollar. And that might be true right here in like La Fortuna Central, maybe when you're close to town, but it's almost like it's a seller's market too. It's almost like a combination here of a buyer's market and a seller's market. Does that even make any sense?
Well,
Because there's tons of property because, you know, unfortunately, you know, a lot of people around, at least in this area, you know, got hit pretty hard, but they own land, but they don't have any cash.
Yeah, and let's make I should qualify everything I'm saying with, excuse me. I think Costa Rica's rural areas or anywhere outside of the Central Valley, if you're looking for undeveloped land and you don't have to be right next to town, Costa Rica is going to be a buyer's market for you for years and years and years, and nothing can change that dynamic because there are so many areas that transition from agriculture to other, you know, sources of income.
Right.
All of that land is now for sale. And so, yeah, if you don't need a paved road, if you're okay being a little away from town on just a funky farm, you should be able, I'd say, but take the same approach. Move to that town, figure out what road you really like, sort of the, you know, you could even figure out where the nice airflow is, and sort of up on that hill might be a good location, and start, you know, pinging people and figuring out who the farmers are. And yeah, land is absolutely, right.
You're totally right. Yeah, there's a lot of it here. A lot of people are, you know, I have a lot of friends here. So people go, Oh, I know you have a real estate channel. My grandmother's got some land. My uncle's got some land. I got 2 lots over here, and we're, oh, cheap, cheap, cheap. But then again, you got some places here that,
Yeah.
around town, or businesses that are, quite pricey if you were to get into them. It's a different thing. So you're right. The land thing might be a little different, and I think
Yeah.
our areas are maybe just a little different too. You have there's
100%.
a lot of tourism and pricey stuff on the beach and condos, but
Oh yeah.
you also have your hidden places, don't you?
Of course, you just have to go further from Tamarindo to find this cheap land than you have to go from La Fortuna. Whereas you probably had 2 blocks out of town and you've already
Right.
got
Totally
great
right.
farmland. Now in Tamarindo, that farmer 2 blocks out of town, he's going to hit you up for millions of dollars.
Right.
You have to, in our area, you do have to avoid that coastal tourism corridor and really get so far away from the infrastructure, like I would imagine take a paved highway and 20 minutes on a dirt road in any direction from that pavement. As long as you're not headed out towards the coasts, the beaches, and tourism, you could find those options here in Tamarindo too.
Matt, one more question. It's starting to rain, and I'm afraid the microphone's going to pick up the rain in a second. How do you see the future? How do you see the future in real estate here, whether it's in your area or Costa Rica?
Well, first I take a little bucket of water and use a dowsing technique. No, really, it's anyone's guess. I don't want to make predictions. I think that there are, out of 100 potential scenarios for where the market is in 1 year, I think most of the scenarios are that it's just done well and we're still strong, because even if Omicron brings another serious shift in travel or the economy, there's still going to be a lot of latent momentum in the market. It would take something very, very crazy for things to change within 1 year. But,
nothing's been crazy, Matt. There's been nothing crazy going on the last year and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel very positive overall. I think that the most probable scenario is that in 6 months to a year, we'll still be happy with the real estate we saw over this high season. You'll still have a lack of inventory in the tourism hubs. That means prices are too high. And that won't start to change until the next big shock that scares enough gringos, because there's that flight tendency that people have where, we could get something that scares, the world economy, whatever happens. All of a sudden, you see a ton of gringos who decide they need to be back in the United States because they're worried about being here for whatever reason. That's going to be, to me, the next game changer.
All right, man. I want to spend some more time and more in depth when we can actually hear, and I want to make sure that people can hear. But it's starting to rain. I just want to say real quick, guys, if you're in the Tamarindo, are you thinking about real estate in the Tamarindo area, anywhere up there? Matt's the guy, man. He's the honesty. He's the transparent. He goes the extra mile. So I got no problem.
Enjoy your rain. Yeah,
I have a real estate channel, and I still promote Matt.
Yeah, even though we're deadly competition, fierce competition.
Oh, no. Hey guys, I'm Michael Allen. Thanks a lot, Matt. I'm Michael Allen, travelcostaricannow.com real estate. Peace, guys.